Anubis, the ancient Egyptian god of mummification and guardian of the dead, stands as one of the most iconic and enduring figures in the mythology of the Nile Valley, a land where life and death were deeply intertwined with religion, cosmic order, and the hope for eternal existence beyond the grave. His sleek black jackal head, piercing gaze, and calm, commanding presence captured the imagination of generations, both ancient and modern. Anubis was more than a mythological character. He was the embodiment of care for the dead, the custodian of sacred rites, and a bridge between the mortal world and the afterlife. To understand Anubis is to step into the heart of ancient Egypt's relationship with mortality. To walk the winding paths between tombs, to hear the silent prayers of those seeking safe passage for their loved ones, and to grasp the deep symbolism that shaped one of the oldest civilizations in human history. In the minds of the ancient Egyptians, death was not the end but a transformation, a journey into a different realm. The afterlife was a vast, mysterious domain where souls would be judged, where they could achieve eternal bliss or face oblivion. Anubis was the guide through this passage, ensuring that the rites were performed correctly so that the deceased could face judgment prepared. He was often depicted in the form of a man with the head of a black jackal or as a full jackal resting attentively, ears pricked, watching over the necropolis. The choice of a jackal was no coincidence. Wild jackals were often seen wandering around cemeteries at night in ancient Egypt, and their presence became associated with the protection and guarding of the dead. Anubis's role was multifaceted. First, he was the god of embalming, overseeing the mummification process that was central to Egyptian funerary practices. The meticulous preservation of the body was not a mere ritual, it was a spiritual necessity. The ancient Egyptians believed that the soul, or ka, needed a preserved physical vessel to recognize itself in the afterlife. Anubis, as the master embalmer, was invoked by priests who performed the ritual. Ancient depictions show him standing over a mummy, hands working with divine precision, his face serene yet focused, ensuring every step was flawless. Beyond mummification, Anubis was also the opener of the ways. He was the one who guided the soul from the world of the living to the hall of judgment, where the great god Osiris presided. In this hall, the soul's heart would be weighed on the scales of Ma'at, the goddess of truth and cosmic order. The heart was balanced against the feather of Ma'at, and if it was found pure, the soul could enter the field of reeds, the Egyptian paradise. But if the heart was heavy with wrongdoing, it would be devoured by the fearsome Ammit, ending the soul's existence. Anubis's duty in this process was crucial. He not only guided the deceased but also ensured that the weighing was fair and just, free from corruption or imbalance. This role made him a symbol of impartiality, a divine judge whose loyalty was to truth and cosmic harmony rather than personal gain or favoritism. In mythological narratives, Anubis's origins vary. In earlier traditions, before the cult of Osiris rose to prominence, Anubis was considered the son of Ra, the sun god. Later myths, influenced by the merging of religious cults, describe him as the son of Osiris and Nephthys, the goddess of dusk and morning. One famous tale recounts how Nephthys, disguised as her sister Isis, conceived Anubis with Osiris. Fearing the wrath of her husband Set, she abandoned the child, who was then found and raised by Isis. This story not only connects Anubis to the divine family of the most important Egyptian gods but also adds a layer of poignancy to his role as protector of the vulnerable and abandoned. The worship of Anubis was widespread across Egypt, especially in areas with significant necropolises such as Saqqara and Abydos. Priests of Anubis wore masks resembling a jackal's head during funerary rites, becoming the living embodiment of the god as they performed sacred tasks. The prayers offered to Anubis often emphasized his mercy, his guidance, and his ability to keep evil spirits and desecrators away from the tombs. Archaeological discoveries have uncovered thousands of mummified animals, especially dogs and jackals, dedicated to Anubis as offerings. These votive gifts were expressions of devotion, acts of gratitude, and pleas for protection in life and death. The color black in Anubis's depiction holds deep symbolic meaning. It does not represent death in the Western sense but rather the fertile soil of the Nile, which brought life to Egypt, and the color of the body after mummification, signifying rebirth. Anubis was therefore a symbol not only of death but of regeneration, a reminder that the end of life in the mortal realm was the beginning of something greater. His imagery inspired awe, but also comfort. He was not a figure of terror, but a guide, ensuring no soul wandered lost in the dark. Ancient Egyptian art and tomb inscriptions often show Anubis attending to the deceased, his hands gently adjusting the wrappings of the linen shroud, or leading the soul by hand toward the scales of Ma'at. His presence was a reassurance that the soul was in safe hands. Even in scenes of judgment, where the stakes were unimaginably high, Anubis's calm expression conveyed confidence in the process, as if reminding both the living and the dead that justice, when overseen by the divine, would always prevail. In popular imagination today, Anubis remains one of the most recognizable deities of ancient Egypt. His image appears in films, literature, video games, and art, often portrayed as mysterious and powerful. While modern depictions sometimes exaggerate his fearsome qualities, the essence of Anubis remains. He is the guardian, the guide, the one who stands watch over the threshold between life and death. His enduring appeal lies in his blend of solemn dignity, protective care, and moral integrity. For those who study ancient Egypt, Anubis offers a window into a civilization's deepest hopes and fears, a culture that sought to master the mysteries of mortality through ritual, faith, and the promise of eternity. The mythology of Anubis also reflects universal human questions. What happens after death? How can one prepare for it? What does it mean to live a life worthy of a good judgment? In the Egyptian worldview, the answer was not just in grand monuments or lavish tombs, but in the moral quality of one's heart. Anubis, standing silently in the hall of judgment, embodied the truth that no wealth or power could sway the scales, only a heart in harmony with Ma'at could pass through. The cult of Anubis persisted for thousands of years, adapting as Egypt's religion evolved, even surviving into the Greco-Roman period when he was often merged with the Greek god Hermes as Hermanubis, a cycle. Today, when we look at the statues and paintings of Anubis in museums, we see more than stone and pigment. We see the echoes of voices from thousands of years ago, whispering prayers for safe passage, trusting in the watchful eyes of the black jackal god. His story is not only about ancient Egypt, but about humanity's timeless quest to find meaning in mortality, to trust that death is not chaos but a journey with a guide who knows the way. The sands of Egypt may have shifted over millennia, but the figure of Anubis remains, unshaken, a sentinel at the edge of life and eternity, waiting with steady hands to lead souls home.